Hey guys and girls, this is the Fierce by the name of Man and Fairy, aka the underdog for underground. Here today to do my raw uncut discussion on One Piece manga chapter 894. Let y'all guys and girls know in advance there will be spoilers ahead, so proceed at your own risk. On that note, let's go. One Piece manga chapter 894 has to be the best chapter to date in the early part of 2018. This chapter was so amazing. It has lots of action, storyline progression with key characters, possible foreshadow that's probably we'll talk about in a future video either this week or next week, and the introduction of a new transformation, Gear 4 Snake Man. Since the revelation of Gear 4 Snake Man was shown in this chapter, many forums and theorists have been speculating about the possible abilities and skills of Gear 4 Snake Man. I myself was going to do a video that talks about Snake Man's skills and power-ups, but since so many people have been making these same type of videos, I put a hold on that for the time being, and just going to talk about some of those skills and power-ups that I've seen that was discussed in other forums and discussions and theories. So let's go and start talking about it. Alright, one of the positives about Gear 4 Snake Man is the fact that it got amazing speed. In most of the panels and forums, people speculating that Luffy would turn into a form where he would have incredible speed, but he would be a slimmed down version, and he would sacrifice power for speed. To use a reference here, I'm going to go back to the Dressrosa art when Doflamingo was fighting Luffy, and Luffy used Gear 2 on him. And Doflamingo mentioned that fact that Gear 2 has amazing speed, but don't have the power. So with Snake Man, I'm assuming that if Snake Man went up against Doflamingo, he would have got trashed, literally, as far as Dofi, because of the fact that Gear 4 Snake Man is 10 times more faster than Gear 2, and plus, way more powerful than Gear 2. So, compare that to Katakuni, we're going to see the problem. Gear 4 Snake Man is faster than Katakuni, even with future sight, but at the same time, it's not as strong power-wise to go up against Katakuni. So Luffy basically, to counteract that, he's going to have to use like quick strike attacks. That's why with Snake Man, that's a great benefit, because snakes move with a non-linear movements. So it could be like quick strike, because it basically can come off from anywhere and catch Katakuni off guard because of Gear 4 Snake Man's incredible speed. Also, another key point we can use when talking about Gear 4's new transformation, Snake Man, is the fact that, as we see, as far as with snakes use this quick strike, viper-like attack when they bite on their enemies real fast and they prey to kill them, pretty much. Like when we see snakes attack rats, they bite rats on the neck and they basically kill them, and then after that they eat them. We can see Luffy use a similar type of attack if he hockeys up his fingers to make it harden, and use it like his fingers like as claws. He could probably use that in a similar version and try to use a quick strike attack on Katakuni to basically hit his vital organs and take them all balance because of his speed increase against Katakuni. Also, because of his incredible sense of smell and the snakes have, and plus on top of the observation haki, I believe if Katakuni does try to go on the defensive and use his mochi to make him hide in the background, so he wait for the right time to attack Luffy, I could see Luffy turning around and basically knowing where Katakuni will be at all times because of the heightened sense of smell, and plus on top of his increase in observation haki. Alright, but the key weakness with Gear 4 Snake Man, to me, is very obvious. While Luffy increases his speed to the point where he can outmatch Katakuni on top of his observation haki, the weakness here is his defense. I think his defense is going to be very diminished to the point where I believe if Katakuni get like another 2 to 3 hits on Luffy in this fight, it's game over. Because Luffy's spending so much energy on his observation hockey, and plus on top of him trying to stay in that form for a Snake Man. If Luffy don't end this right away, I think it's game over. So it's going to be pretty much Luffy going to have to strategize using his increased observation hockey on top of his increasing battle knowledge and sense to be able to finally take down Katakuni. Also, one thing I want to point out is during this Rayleigh flashback, we see Rayleigh training Luffy on improving his observation hockey. And during this, an interesting conversation takes place. We see Rayleigh mention to Luffy that there are other strong, how can I put it, warriors, beasts in the new world that can able to see a little bit into the future. And when this happens, I think this is when we see the process Luffy has started when he tried to figure out a way to counteract people that can see into the future. The reason I'm mentioning this now is because there is lots of speculation going on that when Rayleigh was saying that in this chapter that it was basically like an ass pull moment so Luffy can come out on top. So Oda just put this in without any reason, but like Oda always does, he always have a purpose for this. And let me explain. Like back in Water 7 arc, when Luffy fought against CP9 for the first time, he got his ass kicked. He took a major L to Rob, Lucci, and them because he didn't understand how their powers worked. And when Robin was in danger, he started to process a way so he can counter against Rob, Lucci, and the rest of CP9. And we've seen it when he went up against Bruno. He even thanked Bruno because he said if it wasn't for CP9 showing him the new techniques, he would never figured out how to use Gear 2 or Gear 3. And since we always know that Luffy is a battle genius, I believe that when Rayleigh mentioned this to Luffy, he automatically started processing things in his mind, even from like in that time skip on a transformation that he can use where he can counter against people who can see into the future. I believe even though his observation hockey level 2 is unexpected for Luffy, because he never processed that in that 2-year time skip, I believe when he was formulating his Snake Man, we definitely got to talk about my main man, Capone. In this chapter, he's still leading the pack, got the rest of the Big Mom pirates behind him, and he got the cake on the ship transporting originally to Liquor Town. Until Chiffon told him the reason that that's not a good idea because of the fact that if their plan failed, Big Mom could easily go back and take out the rest of the Straw Hats. So she told Capone, against his wishes, that was one of the funniest comedy scenes in this chapter, to go to Fluffy Island. But what is Capone's true plan? To me, the key of this plan is the return of Gasolino, Caesar. Last time we seen Caesar, Capone gave him his heart back, I believe it was like 10 to 15 chapters ago, and since then we haven't seen Caesar since. So I believe that Caesar and Capone made a pact off scene where Caesar can be used to help Caesar and everybody else escape. I got a couple options I want to talk to you about. One of the reasons that I believe that's the case is because Capone mentioned that Prometheus is moving too slow, and we see that he basically like a big ball of fire. And we know what Caesar is. Caesar is basically made out of gas. So when they get to Fluffy Island, I could see the fire tank pirate ship fighting Big Mom, trying to take her out. That Caesar come in the picture, either use his abilities to either make Prometheus explode that way, or he probably created a gas similar to the gas he used back in Punk Hazard art, or maybe a variation of it, where he can use that at Prometheus, weaken Prometheus enough, and also cause him to start becoming combustible enough to make a... And we definitely got to talk about my main man, Sanji. The man that been taking more L's in the new world than anybody else. We see him meet back up with Pudding to formulate some type of plan to help the Straw Hats get out of Kako Island and finally leave the Big Mom territory. But didn't anybody else notice that when you look at this panel the first time, I was up there wondering to myself, like, when did Sanji leave the ship? It was like in the chapter 893, he was still on the ship saying come up with a plan, and they didn't mention anything. It's just like next thing you know, you turn the page from Capone, then you see Sanji like talking to Pudding. I was like, wait a minute, did I miss a page or something? But it was good to see the interaction with Sanji and Pudding goes in like another comedic purpose like thing that was kind of funny to me. But I just can't wait to Sanji get into this fight with this person I'm about to talk to next, and finally get that first W in the new world. And that person I was talking about, the person I want Sanji to fight the most and get his first W, is against former Sweet Commander Snack. In this chapter, we officially get the return of Snack. The person that most people were speculating was going to return to this chapter, this storyline, Snack. As we see, we also get to know his bounty, which is 600 million, which is not a lot considering the rest of the Big Mouth Pirates, like Katakuni, Smoothie, Sparrow, but still, to see him back, even though we still didn't get to see his face, is a great thing. And we can actually see more of his powers and abilities and find out what was the reason that Mad Monk beat him, because lots of theories been going around about that. Like, is Snack really that weak, or Mad Monk really that strong? If a Sanji versus Snack fight actually happened, we can basically pit that to rest and find out what it is as far as Snack powers, how strong he is, and go from there once for all. Also, the last thing I want to talk about in this chapter is actually two things. One is the whole Smoothie getting bigger situation that's going on. People have been speculating that either Smoothie been operated on, it's like an experiment of becoming a giant, and some was saying that she was already a giant, but not fully, like she's a half-breed. But I'm just going to basically make it simple and say that Smoothie is basically using her abilities to make herself bigger. As we seen in with her introduction a couple chapters back, Smoothie was up there draining juice out of a human, and then most recently at the wedding, she was using her juice powers to drain juice out of a horse or a zebra, I believe. So it's not that much possibility to believe that she's using the juice in her body to expand her body to like 20, 30 times her normal size to give her advantage, to make it seem like she's a giant, but she really not. So in the comment section below, let me know what you think about that idea I just mentioned. And the last thing I want to discuss is, as all the rest of the Big Mouth Pirates are setting up at Kako Island to get ready to wait for Luffy to come out the mirror and wait for the Straw Hats to show up, we